This happened to me about 5 years ago. I was renting an Airbnb with my girlfriend and our 2 kids. We had rented this place many times before. It's a great place. It's right on a lake. My son loves to go swimming there. So on this particular visit, we had brought a friend with us. This friend had never been to this house by the lake before. So on the first night, he was kind of going around checking things out. As he was walking past the shed that's by the water, he heard a loud bang. At first, he thought nothing of it. He assumed maybe it was some sort of animal or something like that. Well, later that night around 4 a.m., we were awoken in our bedroom to what sounded like somebody banging on the side of the house. Now, this is not unusual because we have a lot of wildlife that likes to come into the yard, especially at night. Usually it's just birds or squirrels or whatever. But this noise was very distinct. It sounded like somebody was on the other side of the wall and was banging on it intentionally, like they were trying to get our attention. Now, my house has a full basement, but the part where we were hearing the noise was above the garage. The garage is a single-car garage, and above it is our bedroom, and then above that is just an unfinished attic space. No one was up there. There's no access to that attic space from inside the house. You can only get to it from outside through a hatch on the roof. We started hearing these banging noises almost every night. Every night, we would hear these loud bangs coming from what sounded like the exact same spot, right above our bed. Then one morning we got up and went out to the kitchen to make some breakfast. While standing at the kitchen table sipping our coffee, we heard these banging noises again. Only this time it sounded like they were coming from inside the house. We could hear footsteps, heavy footsteps, pacing back and forth, directly above our heads. My friend sighed, "Let's go check it out." So he headed toward the attic stairs that were located in the bedroom. He started to climb the stairs and call out, "Hello, is anybody up here?" After he called out a couple times, the footsteps stopped. When he got to the top of the stairs, the only thing he saw was a single light bulb hanging from the middle of the room. There were no windows and the door was shut. There was no way for anyone to have gotten up there without us knowing it. That night, we decided to set up a camera in the bedroom, pointed toward the attic stairs. In the morning when we checked the footage, we saw what appeared to be the shadow of a man walking up the stairs. The thing is, there was no one in the house. We were the only people there. In the following days, the banging in the walls continued. But now, it was constant. It didn't matter where we were in the house. We could hear these loud bangs coming from what seemed like all around us. It felt like we were being watched. Then, we started finding things. We would find tools and other objects that we knew we had not put there. We also found a hat, gloves, and a scarf in the back corner of the shed by the lake. The shed is very small and we use it to store pool noodles and life buoys and other pool toys. There was no way someone could have snuck into that shed and hid these things without us seeing them. One afternoon, we decided to go out to the lake and spend some time boating and swimming. When we returned from our day at the lake, we noticed that one of our kayaks was missing. The only way to get to our dock was through a narrow channel that was lined with trees on both sides. There was no way that anyone could have removed that kayak and transported it away without us seeing them. At this point, we were getting really scared. We talked about leaving early and canceling the rest of our stay, but we had already paid for it, so we decided to stick it out. The next day, we woke up to find more items that did not belong to us in the house. This time, it was a pair of boots and a camouflage jacket. Then we started finding items belonging to the host of the house in places that they didn't belong. It was like whoever was haunting us was rummaging through the house at night and moving things around. On one of the video cameras, we saw what appeared to be the ghost of a man walking down the hallway. Another time we saw what looked like the shadow of a man standing at the foot of our bed watching us while we slept. We even saw what looked like a hand reaching out from under the bed. We tried to contact the owner of the house several times, but she never responded. She lived several hours away and we were assuming she was busy. Little did we know she was dead. When we finally made it home, we researched the history of the house to see if it had ever had any tragic incidents or deaths. That is, when we found out the owner had died in a car accident just a few months prior. We also learned that she had recently sold the house. Apparently she had done so because she wanted to move closer to her grandchildren. We've since learned that the person we had been renting from was actually the previous owner. The new owner was in the process of remodeling the house and preparing it for sale when we arrived. That explained why we kept finding new items in the house, items that belonged to the previous owner. It also explained why we kept hearing those banging noises. We assumed that the previous owner had somehow gotten into the attic and was up there watching us the whole time. How else would someone have been able to get into that attic without us knowing? The hatch on the roof was always closed, and there was no way to get into it from inside the house. Some people think that ghosts sometimes try to communicate with the living. Maybe she wanted to let us know that she was there. We also believe that she was trying to warn us about something. The most disturbing part about the entire experience was that we had been staying in that house for over a week, and we had seen all of these strange things, but all of the video footage we had taken turned out to be corrupted. None of it worked. And then there's the story of a campfire. A scary story I heard when I was much younger. I was camping with some friends. We had set up camp late at night, and we didn't get a chance to explore the area until the next morning. As we were eating breakfast around the campfire, a local came over to talk to us. He was an older guy who looked like he knew everything about the woods. He asked us how long we were planning to stay, and we told him a couple more days. He warned us not to make a campfire like the one that we had. He said we should have built ours further away from the tent. Now, being young and stupid, I laughed and told him that there was no way we were moving our camp. We were in our 20s and thought we were invincible. We figured this old guy probably had won too many stories of people getting hurt around campfires. Later that day, after the sun had gone down, we were sitting around the campfire telling stories. One of my friends told a story of a girl who was camping with her boyfriend and her sister. They had set up their tent near a lake. One night they were awoken in their tent to what sounded like screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. They sat in the tent, not knowing what was out there. Then they started hearing what sounded like footsteps near their tent. The next morning, after, of course, not sleeping at all, they unzipped the tent to the creepiest scene. All around the tent were thousands of little pebbles that had been meticulously arranged in a circle. It was like someone had taken all the little pebbles in the area and created a huge circle around their tent. As my friend was finishing his story, we heard what sounded like a loud scream in the forest. My friends and I all looked at each other, unsure of what to do. Some of us wanted to run away, but I told everyone to stay put. I told them that it was probably just an owl or something. But then we started hearing what sounded like footsteps in the trees. My friends and I started freaking out. We were yelling and screaming, trying to make ourselves look big and scary. Then we started throwing logs and rocks in random directions. After what felt like an eternity, the commotion in the trees stopped. The next morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, we unzipped the tent to the creepiest scene. All around the tent were thousands of little pebbles that had been meticulously arranged in a circle. It was like someone had taken all the little pebbles in the area and created a huge circle around our tent.